Okay, howdy. This is a video of me going over the whole iteration process of making these, me listing through the first 10 or something, and then I make two more at the end. I'll go over what it is exactly before I go through these iterations, and if you guys are interested, you can check it out on the Thingiverse and download it for yourself. Pretty much, you take the two stands, you just set them up on your table, and you put your laptop into them, and if you're somebody who uses a dedicated keyboard and a mouse like I do, it gives more space for them. It puts your laptop in the air, so it's got better airflow. It's also got a better viewing height. Instead of the screen being down on your desk, it's up now. It's also very portable. I designed it so I could slip it into my backpack because my whole setup is available to be just packed and gone. Print's pretty simple. It's literally just a shape that prints up, pop it off, you're done. And it fits most laptops. I designed it to hold a laptop with a deck, its bottom of an inch. It can hold it at a 20-degree angle, and it can fit smaller laptops too. And I think it technically could fit bigger laptops. It would just be at a sharper and sharper angle. And last thing is you can still adjust the lid. Boop, beep. Yeah, let's get straight into these iterations. First laptop stand I did was extremely basic. I literally made a square and then cut out a general shape. And this shape was supposed to be the right size for the laptop. The laptop shape is generally like, there's a little rubber bumper so that the laptop is lifted so it can suck some air in. And so this was supposed to allow for this rubber bumper, but I don't think I did any measurements or anything. Either way, my next iteration, which, again, all of these weren't I made it and then I printed it. Some of them are I made it and then I looked at it for a while and went, hey, I could fix that. To my memory, I think I only printed 4 of these iterations, even though there's a butt ton of them. So this next one was supposed to improve the amount of room for this little rubber bumper. Our laptop is more like this. And this one, the main problem was that because I had made it so the laptop could go in either direction, sure, the bumper fit on this side, but now the laptop could pivot into this gap, and it was like not a good fit or steady because of that. The next one made it so it was a one-sided bumper gap while also tilting it back a bit to allow for more play with the screen, because right here, if we draw the whole laptop, the screen can only go back a certain amount, like there's a stopping point, which means I can tilt it back farther until it hits that stopping point. The next iteration was just a stylistic one. I literally just made it so there was a size to the stroke, kind of. I made it so it's just one line that goes like that instead of a block at the back. And then the next one I made, I added the supports to the front just because then it could be even sturdier in the laptop stand. This one was just to test out rounding the edges, and this one was another test of that. On this one I just rounded these outside edges, and then on this one I also rounded the inside edges. And when I was designing it, I was thinking, one, just to try it, but two, it would make it just a little bit of a smoother fit because there is more room to play with literally just this area. It was one of the thoughts I had, that the laptop could start to go in easier. I think I ended up sticking with this design just because I liked that all of the angles were dealt with in the same manner, you know? Because even in this one, you still need the inside ones to be sharp angles to some degree. So it was like sharp angles on the inside, round on the outside. I still wanted to have sharp everywhere. But I did also try very pointed, and I didn't like this one just because in my imagination, I could see this getting caught on things. Because a lot of the reason I'm making these stands is because I have everything slide into one bag, and literally the corners could just catch on something. So I didn't go with the rounded, and I went with the truncated ends for that print, which I do have right here. These ones, I don't know if it was a problem with the printing or that my laptop literally gets a little bit bigger near the bottom, because the top fits fine, but the closer you get to the bottom, the tighter it is. And just based on finger feel, the print gets smaller. So we can do a quick measurement. honestly, that I think the print just went wrong then. Like there must have been a bit of shrinkage. That's why this print didn't end up working. Not via failure of the design, but via failure of the print. I can tell you how the laptop fits in. This one, it was supposed to be that it could slide onto, like if this is the laptop, it could slide on, and it could slide on either way. And then as we went to the one-sided design, it's just like you're holding the front and you slide it on. And I did that just because I wanted it to be a really tight fit, like real sturdy to the laptop. But as you can see with my next iteration, I abandoned that. And I abandoned that mostly because of this print. Even that the printing had an error was enough to make it so that really tight fit didn't work. And so I had that as one push away from having it fit in. And then the other push was it would only work with my laptop. All laptops are going to have a different width of the keyboard and a different width of the keyboard and that rubber bumper I'm talking about. So I wanted to try making one that fit all designs of laptop. And that's what this next one is. It has all of the key, like engineering type points that you need, because the way this one works, the laptop sits in here, so gravity's putting pressure down here, while also tilted back, so there's a little bit of force this way, which means there's a pivot point that hits right here and a pivot point that hits right at the top. So I kept the base, I kept the pivot point, and I kept the top. And with the prints that I had done, I was able to test with my laptop what angle was a good angle. And I found 20 degrees was a good angle. And then I believe I used as a faux laptop. What the biggest laptop you could have in and it be a 20-degree angle. I had this set to be 1/2 inch thick. That's what we used for this first design. And then this one was me trying to literally do better within SketchUp, the application, because during this process, there were some very small things where I thought things would fit together and they didn't. So I had to just manually connect them. And I didn't like that. So this was my first effort in doing that. And then this next iteration, I wanted to add a brace. One, because it makes this stronger. It's not just a standalone piece. And two, because it also is like an indicator for the user that the laptop will slide down and in. You will pull the laptop forward, it'll hit this, and then it'll come down. And once you do all those steps, the laptop will be sitting like that. And this design wasn't bad, but I felt that it seemed kind of random. I did this curve instead of like a straight line here because this was a big thing during the making of earlier ones. I didn't want to enforce that 20-degree angle. That's why there was no brace in this one, because that means that if you had a thicker laptop, it could have that sharper angle and nothing about the design would be like, your laptop doesn't fit in here. And so this curve was supposed to maintain that while still giving the brace. And this feels like such a big curve when all the other curves are tight. Even the end stubs are tight curves. So I drifted away from this one as well. And I think we're getting close to the final design. I made this edge that I didn't want to assume. I just made it literally perpendicular to ground, because if your laptop is this big, it's not going to stand up anyway. So it just allows for any laptop to go in there. So we added this as a straight brace, and I lessened this curve, and I think that's really the only thing I was messing with here. And then if we go to the next one, I liked having this bigger curve because the bottom of the line matches up exactly with the thick laptop that I had measured in. So a 1/2 inch laptop hits the bottom of this line perfectly and hits this stopper perfectly. And I like that the curve fit that so perfectly. And I think the other thing that we started doing here was making sure that our measurements were perfect. The measurements that I was using for this were, I wanted this to be a 20-degree angle. I wanted this to be 1 inch, and I wanted this to be 4 inches. These are all somewhat arbitrary measurements that I've made and just decided upon, but while using SketchUp, they were askew a little bit. And going from this one to this one was me fixing those. Literally, I think it was, these were off by like nothing. They're off by nothing, but it was enough that I was like, I went into this to make it so that the laptop hits a pivot point 1 inch up and leans back on something 4 inches up. But it was like hitting a little earlier, a little late, a little above or under 1 inch or 4 inch. And so this last design was me just fixing that. And so this is my finished design so far. That's where we're at right now. Just get this printed, try it out. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work, but that's usually how you feel about these things. The one thing I could do to be certain is if we go to my brother's laptop stands, I made him some as well. I know exactly what this one fits like because of I have it here. One of the main things I'm concerned about is this width. Because my laptop is not that chunky, but I have not been able to take an accurate measurement of it. One thing I do know is that it does not fit in his laptop stand. So if I go from this base, let's just say to here, as long as it's... No way! It says that 14.28 millimeters is over half of an inch, which means that currently my laptop is too chunky for this stand that I've most recently made. And this is a very good thing to test, because I thought I was done and dusted. I thought half an inch was more than enough. But it turns out it's not even close to more than enough, apparently. And this, luckily, is not going to be too hard to do because this is set to the back of the laptop, this curve, and this is a flat line, and this is a flat line. I can just grab this segment of geometry and shift it. And we can just account for a thicker laptop. You know what we can do? We can go look on Best Buy. This is a 15-inch laptop, and it is 0.71 inches high, including the screen. It says 23.88 millimeters. That is almost an inch thick, including the screen. And this was for the 15-inch. And this source says 0.8 inches. Which means that in most cases, 0.75 would probably work, but it also means that I'm not going to go with most cases. I'm going to go with edge case that someone has. The whole bottom plate of the laptop, we're going to assume an inch bottom plate. We are simply going to grab all of this point, which is our intersecting point, and we're going to move it until it hits there. And now our laptop stand accounts for a laptop that is an inch thick. Again, even if your laptop is thinner than that, it just means you will have a shallower angle instead of a steeper angle. And then you can adjust via laptop screen. So the only other iteration we could do is, you know, we might as well do it. We're here. Let's do a test iteration with a new curve. That'd be funny if I made the curve and then didn't even like it. This is a good guesstimation of the curve. It does look a little wobbly, but it is the curve. The question is, do I like the curve? Right now I'm thinking it doesn't match the style of the rest of it. I think that might be the main thing that's bugging me. Which is funny. I think we've done enough testing to know that I prefer this. These are all circle angles, so it makes sense for this one to also be a circle angle. So we are abandoning the 2x1 angle and continuing with the circle 1-to-1 angle. Very happy, very proud. Yep, so again, if you want to check out the laptop stand, there should be a link in the description, and it's a pretty simple print. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and I will see you guys in the next one.